Critique alternative news icons for 1,000, please.
This newsman stares down tyranny, exposes political deceit, and fears no story, large or small.
Who is Dan Bidondi?
For the last decade, Dan Bidondi has fought for justice and informed the masses. He is the face of alternative news, and he's only here on 990wbob.com. Tune in weekly for all new live episodes, and listen to past casts whenever you like. When the truth is not apparent, let the truth warrior come to the aid of justice. Catch Dan Bidondi live here on 990wbob.
This is 990wbob.com, the home of internet entertainment. From Rhode Island to the world, 990wbob.com. 990wbob.com is an independent free media outlet.
Live from the world headquarters of 990wbob.com in the original 13th colony, spreading truth, slaying lies, a one-man gang in a war to restore freedom and liberty. Dan Bidondi.
All right, welcome to the Dan Bidondi Show. Today's February 21st, 2017 edition of the Dan Bidondi Show. I am your host, Dan Bidondi, on 990wbob.com. We got a great show for you. A lot of news to cover. The second half of the show, we got a good friend of mine coming on as a guest, Dave Copacz. He's an activist, radio talk show host. He's also the president of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies and the president of Massachusetts Republican Assembly, and a great patriot as well. We're going to talk about Agenda 21, the plight of Lavoie Finnegan family, and the related courses upcoming on the Flag Day Second Amendment event that he has every year. On Flag Day, he has a Second Amendment event in Massachusetts. So it's going to be a good one. He's got a lot of top brand speakers coming down to Massachusetts to talk, basically support the Second Amendment. And we're Finley on Flag Day. Anyway, we got a lot of news to cover too, and I want to a little plug here to the Rhode Island Oath Keepers. And anybody who's interested in joining the Oath Keepers or find out what they are about, just look them up. Rhode Island Oath, I think it's oathkeepers.com. I think that's the national website, but you could find a local chapter. We have a local chapter here in Rhode Island run by Randy Swanson. He's the acting president of the Rhode Island statewide Oath Keepers here. But everybody's welcome. It's doors open. If you're interested and know what they're about, want to join them or anything like that, just come on down every third Tuesday. Every third Tuesday of the month. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. It's horrible. Looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics here, but every third Tuesday of the month at the Sonoma Grill and Pub. It's 7366 Post Road in North Kingston, Rhode Island. And again, you can look this up. This information's all over Facebook and the internet and everything else. But the Rhode Island Oath Keepers, open meeting to the public, and anybody wants to come in and check them out and interested in joining. The state chapter president, Randy Swanson. But anyway, folks, we got a lot of news to cover today. And yesterday, my show falls on a Tuesday, so this is a partial President's Day show, even though it was yesterday. I want to talk about the President's Day first, because how important is President's Day? People look at it as a day out of school, maybe a day out of work for some lucky people, but it's a lot more than that. When you look into the history and all that. And it just takes time to actually go study who your presidents were. Study, you don't have to sit there and read a 300-page book about them, but go get the general facts about them. Go look what they did, the accomplishments they had in and out of office, and that's what really tells a story who a great president was. Somebody that wasn't just great in office, but somebody who did a lot for this country before and after he served the time there. Anyway, my favorite president is George Washington, by far. I studied a lot of the presidents over history. Granted, I haven't studied every one of them, but the Founding Fathers, I studied every one of them. And George Washington, what this guy did, George Washington, what he did was amazing. I don't think 99% of men would never do this, what he did. When George Washington, this man gave up the ultimate power of being a king. And during the Revolution, he was General George Washington at the time, who became the first ever 5-star general in U.S. history, was the commander of the Continental Army. The government actually turned control of the army over to General George Washington. Full control. And he also saved the Second Revolution from happening because the government wasn't paying the troops, so he cut a deal between Congress and the military to say, we got to pay these guys. Because the military are kind of pissed. So that stopped another revolution from happening. But anyway, well, during the revolution, George Washington had supreme control of the army and lived to his promise. He promised that after the war, he would turn over full control of the military back over to our government like an honorable man he did. And King George III, he was so impressed by that. I mean, he even quoted, he said, if he does that, he will be the greatest man in the world. Because no other man turned over that kind of power. No other man in history, in this scenario here, turned over that kind of power when he easily could have been king, easily could have been the ruler of this country and everything else, easily. He had full control of all the armed forces here in America. And he, like he promised, when this war is over, I'll turn it right back over to control to Congress. And he did that. And they're even, like I said, King George III. And there's a lot more stuff about Washington and King George III to Benjamin West after learning, that's what he said. I'm sorry, I'm reading ahead of myself. King George III said, if he does this, he'll be the greatest man in the world. And this was King George III telling Benjamin West after learning George Washington was going to resign his commission as commander of the Continental Congress and return to Mount Vernon. And the military and the people wanted Washington to be a king, but he said no, he didn't want to. He didn't want to even be president. And because he knew, because people say you should be king, the military wanted him, crown him as a king, but he knew how corrupt the monarchical system is, like, you know, you've seen in the UK and everywhere else, how corrupt a king could become. And it's not democracy when you're under a king. It's not a republic, you know. So he said, no, we can't do that. We got away from that stuff. We fought a revolution, so to prevent a king from ruling. So, you know, now we have the electoral systems and everything else. But he stated that a president should be elected. In fact, he didn't even want to run for president, but the people in the military demanded it. That's the only reason why, because he just wanted to retire to his farm. That's all he wanted to do. Didn't want no more power. He'd say, you know what, I'm done. I want to go retire to my farm. But it was the people in the military that demanded him to be president. At first, king, but when he pushed the kingdom, you know, created a presidential system, which a lot of people, quick fact here, a lot of people don't realize there was 7 presidents before George Washington. They were appointed by the Congress under the Articles of Confederation. They served 1 to 2 year terms each, but they were appointed by Congress. They weren't voted in an electoral system. But yes, President George Washington, he was the first president-elect. Not the first president of the United States. A lot of people, it was John Hanson, a white Swedish American, that was the first president of the United States, served about 2 years. And George Washington was one of the members there that actually elected him as president. And that's something to look into. But and about Washington, though, each and every military, the thing is, I want to, before I get into that, I want to explain something about George Washington. A lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of misinformation going around about how he was an atheist, he was into the occult and all. No. You don't know nothing about George Washington if you dig any of that. George Washington, yes, he was into Freemasonry, but he was rarely ever at a lodge meeting. So, because a lot of little theories, conspiracy theories going on about George Washington. And Freemasonry, they love to nothing more to make outrageous claims that never happened. But this is how devout this man was. Each and every major decision in the military or political office Washington made, he consulted God in prayer. He actually got on his knees and prayed to our Creator to make the right decision. And right in his own logs, he was visited by angels, his commanding officers that were standing outside of his office there. So he said that the angels actually addressed George Washington as Father of the Republic. This isn't the Library of Congress, folks. And again, I mean, all the times he went to go make a political decision or anything else, he addressed God. He got on his hands and knees and prayed to the Creator. And regardless of the dumb rumors you might have heard about him, but he was a devout man of God his entire life. And even though he was a member of Freemasonry, he was not in the Illuminati like people think. In fact, he won American lodges. He had American Freemason lodges about the nefarious infiltration of the Illuminati. That's all on record. That's in Washington's own documents. When he was writing to, I think it was Reverend Jedediah, his reverend there, back and forth, telling him to warn the Masons here in America because the Illuminati was infiltrating all the French lodges at the time and the European lodges. He didn't want that to happen here because he knew what that would come. Eventually led to the French Revolution and all that. But this man, George Washington, also wanted us to stay away from political parties in his farewell address, because he's seen how political parties had corrupted and destroyed Europe. He warned us about a central bank. All the stuff we have today, he warned us about. And to this day, he's the greatest president we ever had by far. That's my thoughts, my opinions here, and I hope that Donald Trump here lives to that. I really do. I hope he comes to the next George Washington, next Paul Revere, whatever. But even though Paul Revere wasn't president. But anyway, this leads to our quote of the week, and I'm going to get into the news here. This is by President and General George Washington in his Thanksgiving Day proclamation on October 3rd, 1789. And this is for you ass clowns who say, George Washington was an atheist. No, he wasn't. He was a devout Christian all his life. This is one of hundreds of quotes about God. But anyway, here it is. It says, "It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence to Almighty God, to obey his will, to be grateful for his benefits, to implore his protection and favor." George Washington. Just go look it up for yourself, because I'm never going to sit here and try to debate people if he was a Christian or not. It's on record. I mean, why would the guy write hundreds of quotes and everything else, and books and everything else, and pray to angels and all that, and it just doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's my president, my all-time president, in honor of this President's Day, which happened yesterday. And when we get back from the break, we got about a minute left. We're going to cover some news. We got Samsung. That's right, the Samsung smart TVs that warn customers not to discuss personal information in front of the smart TVs. The TVs spying on people. The same thing I've been telling people for like 20 years now. That these things are spying on people, and I got laughed at, and it came out mainstream media. Well before Edward Snowden was telling people, I was telling people the same thing. And, it's not a joke no more, but now Samsung is warning people not to discuss personal information in front of your TVs. And we got news coming up on Trump's brand new travel ban executive order. Anyway, we'll be right back on the Dan Bidondi Show with Dan Bidondi. All right, we're back on the Dan Bidondi Show, which hosts Dan Bidondi, and I just want to apologize. Last week I went into a major rant about Planned Parenthood and everything else, but you know what? When it comes to children, nothing gets me more aggravated when children are just harmed in general. But anyway, we got a lot of news to cover. Before we get to that, I got some station promo here. This Thursday coming up in 2 days, February 23rd, for the WBOB, 990 WBOB Influencer Charity Cocktail Gala at Chino Rustica in Cranston, as we will be celebrating the movers and shakers in your community area with the craft delectables from the area, all to benefit the animals in need in our community throughout the great works of the Potter League. And for more information, check out the Charity Gala page on 990WBOB.com and mark your calendar for February 23rd, which is 2 days from now, Thursday, to join us and be part of the celebration at the China Rustica at 555 Atwood Avenue in Cranston, Rhode Island. And I'm probably going to intend this. I do have work that night, but I'm going to have to try to switch whatever to get out there, because we're all going out there. I want to be out there because all the guys are going to be there. It's going to be a good time to raise money for local animals and everything else. 990WBOB.com. Yeah, they do a lot of charity work, which is great. And it really is. And we're actually working on, I don't know if the station is, but we're trying to work on some kind of a homeless fund drive here to raise money for food and everything else. But speaking of donations, I don't plug this out because I feel bad doing it. I got a donation page myself, and people do donate to me, and whatever I get, I buy new equipment, constantly upgrading computer equipment, video equipment, movie making material and everything else, software and everything else. So if you want to donate to the show here, all funds go into the cause of fighting the New World Order, because we have to go out to do these reports, put gas in the car. Sometimes if we can't get a cameraman, you might have to go out and rent somebody to do your camera and everything else. And costs money, but we are asking for donations for our show here. Just go to my website, truthradioshow.com, and right there you're going to see a PayPal button. Click on that PayPal button. It's a secured PayPal account, and don't, even if it's $1, like legitly, if it's $1, please do that, because every penny goes into the cause. And I never at all mention my donation page. I don't, but times are tough and everything else, and there's a lot of money goes involved, not just for the show here, but all the stuff we do with people who follow me on YouTube and everything else. We go to a lot of places and confront a lot of politicians, do a lot of work for the greater good here. And speaking of that, we got greater good here, which we got to put a stop to, the government spying on you. But anyway, we got Samsung warns, the Samsung smart TVs. This is from Live the Organic Dream. Samsung warns customers not to discuss personal information in front of your smart TVs. In an unusual step, Samsung just warned its customers that their smart televisions may be impinging their privacy. Well, no kidding, because we've been telling you that for how many years? But anyway, having confirmed that the smart TVs do, in fact, listen in on customers, the company is now warning customers not to speak about personal information while in front of the televisions. All right, so why even have the damn things? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, Samsung noted that the voice activation feature on the smart televisions captures all nearby conversations, and that the TV sets can share that information with both Samsung and third-party services. No kidding. Third-party services, that means it could be anybody. It could be a telemarketer, it could be some marketing campaign, and that's why if you're over on your computer, you're sitting there talking about, I want to go out and buy a pair of new shoes or something. When you're your computer, and all of a sudden, boom, here's on your Facebook ads about new shoes. Or even if you looked it up in Google, even though it's another tab, all of a sudden you get ads for the things that you're looking at or talking about. If you have your the microphones activated and everything else, it's scary stuff. And all of a sudden you get phone calls. Lots of telemarketing phone calls because they share your phone numbers. That's why I tell people, don't give your phone number out to anything. I don't care if you're in a store to sign up for a rewards card. Don't give them your phone number because third-party people actually pay for those phone numbers so they can call you. Even though they say it's confidential, it's not confidential. They actually sell your phone number. Every company does that. But even the spy stuff here with the TVs, I've been telling people that for eons. I got laughed at, ridiculed by family members, friends, and everything else. Oh, you're a complete nutbag. Yeah, right. That's that can't happen. Talking about the phone spying on you, the TVs. They thought it was a joke.
So Dan Bidondi, I have a question for you. On your cell phone, do you have your voicemail set up then, or do you not have your voicemail set up?
Oh, mine. I mean, I know they listen to me, and because of the things I use to fight the enemy, unfortunately, I have to use their services. Like when you download Facebook Messenger, before you hit accept, you got to read a little disclosure. It's going to ask you to access your pictures, your microphone, your camera at all times, anytime they see fit to go into it. So they could actually be listening to us now, which I don't really care. But it's they do with everything. So it's crazy, it really is. But the Samsung TVs, all the smart TVs, I mean, like we've been telling people for a while, but Samsung is actually coming out to saying, and on the quiet side, though, don't talk about personal stuff. But why even have that thing? And I showed this article to friends and family, and they're starting to take the Wi-Fi off their TVs and everything else. But we got to switch gears here because of the sake of time. We got Dave Copacz coming on to the next segment. Trump says, what we brought up last week, that he was considering a new travel ban on immigration, wherein the judge shot it down and reversed it and everything else. So Donald Trump just went ahead, instead of dealing with which he had the constitutional right to do that, the president. But the judge decides, let's stop this travel ban. So Donald Trump says, screw that. Let's make a new one. And FoxNews.com reports revised travel ban targets same 7 countries exempts green card holders. So green card holders are allowed to return, but regular people, like the people, immigrants and all that, are not allowed in the country in those 7 countries because those 7 countries are very dangerous countries. I mean, they're raping people all the time. I mean, I'm not saying every person's like that, but the majority are. It's like the old saying, like people say, well, we got to women in the country. The best saying I ever heard when I interviewed somebody was saying, all right, we're letting these refugees and everybody else in. Not all bad, we know that. But the thing is, it's like having a bowl full of M&Ms. Right? You have 1,000 M&Ms in that bowl, and 10 of them are full with deadly cyanide. Are you going to allow your children to reach into that bowl, and eat from that bowl? No, you're not. It's the same scenario here. But anyway, President Trump's revised travel ban targets the same 7 countries listed in his original executive order and exempts travelers who already had a visa to travel to the United States, even if they haven't used it yet. A senior White House official said the order will target only those same 7 Muslim-majority nations. Iran. Know how Fox just slips that in there, because Fox is just as bad as MSNBC, CNN, fake news, And anyway, they slipped that in. Muslim-majority nations, which they are, and Iran, Iraq, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, and Libya. Trump was forced to come up with a second order after federal courts held his original immigration and refugee ban. The official said the executive order, could come sometime this week. So we know Donald Trump's going to sign it because he's doing this for our national security. So it's very important, folks. We need to get behind the president on this. And nobody said nothing when Obama did this. Bush did this, and nobody said nothing about it. But now, because it's Trump doing it, and the thing is, he's making all politicians look bad. He's not a politician. He's doing the politician's job better than the career politician. So that's why I say to our senators here, and U.S. senators in Rhode Island and our congressmen, shove it up your asses. And excuse the language, shove it up your asses, because he's making you people who've been here for 20 plus years each look like children, and it's awesome. But anyway, we're gonna go to break. When we come back, we'll have Dave Copacz, awesome activist, patriot. He's got a big event coming up on Flag Day in Massachusetts. A lot of great speakers, and we're gonna talk about Agenda 21 and some other stuff. But anyway, folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back on the Dan Bidondi Show on 9090wbob.com.
990wbob.com.
All right, welcome back to the Dan Bidondi Show, which hosts Dan Bidondi. And just a quick plug here again for the Rhode Island Oath Keepers. Anybody interested in becoming an Oath Keeper, no matter what state you live in, just look it up online. We have every third Tuesday of the month here in Rhode Island Sonoma Grill in North Kingston. Just come on in after 7 o'clock and become an Oath Keeper. The president's name is Randy Swanson. Speaking of Oath Keepers, we got another one right here on the phone right now. Dave Copacz. He's an activist, radio talk show host of the Red Pill Politics Show, champion for the Second Amendment, state chapter president of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, and the president of the Massachusetts Republican Assembly, and a great patriot and a good friend. And Dave, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you, Dan? Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Oh, great. Just feeling the vibe of liberty, brother.
Well, I tell you, we're in quite a predicament. Every time we talk, things get worse in between.
Yeah, you got that right. You got that right, brother. And you're doing a lot of great work. I know, and because me and you are battling here in New England for our liberties. And I'm in Rhode Island, you're in Massachusetts, and you got a lot of stuff going on. You saying you spoke with the Lavoie Finnegan family. You got a huge upcoming event, as you do every year on Flag Day for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, we had Jeanette Finnecum and Shalice Finnecum out in Haverhill just last Saturday to give us a little update on what's going on. They just filed their federal lawsuit, and we're really hoping that that goes somewhere. With what we've seen out here, and we cannot let this go to sleep. We have got to stay on this. This family is the point of the spear right now. You and I, we've talked on your show before about Agenda 21.
Yep.
And this is what happens. This is the end game. These people out here in the Midwest, these ranchers, when they go out after them, it's the BLM, these big bureaucratic agencies, the thug cast for our federal government.
Well, just to catch everybody up to speed, quickly tell people who Lavoie Finnegan is first, because I know a lot of people are probably not in the loop on that.
Well, you recall last January, Lavoie Finnecum was out in Utah, and he was helping some other ranchers. Hundreds and hundreds of ranchers out there have lost their farms, and he was out trying to help the Bundys. And what wound up happening is he finally got himself a meeting with the sheriff, They took off in their truck, several people in the vehicle, to go meet with the sheriff, and they were fired upon as they left, and they wound up going into a section of road out there that the feds tried to say that it was a routine traffic stop. This was far from that. They picked a location where their cell phones were not useful, where they were on a blind corner with 3.5 feet of snow. This was a military-style kill stop. It was an ambush. There were snipers in the trees, and when he came out of that vehicle with his hands up in the air, he was surrendering to them because they were already shooting at the vehicle. He was trying to save the lives of the people in that vehicle, and the feds basically gunned that man down with his hands in the air.
Oh yeah, the video's on YouTube if somebody wants to check it out. You can see hands in the air, bang, 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 knocked him out dead, man. It's nuts. And so you spoke to his family here. I mean, who are deep in. I mean, I can only imagine how these people feel.
They are troopers. They're true American patriots, these ladies. Jeanette Finicum is Lavoie's widow, and her daughter Shalise was out this time. And we had Jeanette and her other daughter Tara came out for the rally last year in June, actually. And that was the first time I got to meet them. And I promised them then, just like I promised them Saturday, I will do everything in my power to get that message out. And that information has to be in every American's head. They got to know what happened out there. But I'm telling you, when they do that to our neighbor, and we just sit there and pull our shade and turn our back, it's just a matter of time before the jackboots are on our door. So
yeah, last year
going to happen. They're not getting away with it.
Last year, after that unfortunate event, myself, I joined with Randy Swanson from the Rhode Island Oath Keepers, who, by the way, told me to tell you hello. But I joined with him and the Rhode Island Oath Keepers. We went to the overpasses over into State 95, holding signs up in support of the Finicum family.
Well, that's absolutely outstanding. Now, what's the people got to realize is when we talked about Agenda 21, and that's really, it's just the UN's land use policies and a rearranging of society according to what the globalists want. And to them, they look at private property ownership as a collective evil because everyone can't own property, you see, so no one should own property. It should be state-owned, and that's and socialism is just a stepping stone to communism.
Exactly.
So what's going on out there, the BLM, you're dealing with a great big federal bureaucratic agency of armed thugs. And when they take a rancher's property out there, they take thousands of acres when they knock one rancher out. Out here where we are, you know, it's the same entity, it's the same land use policy, and you can track it right from your town to the United Nations 91 Earth Summit, and you can track the documents. It's there. But out here, they do it a little differently. In my state of Massachusetts, we have a land trust for every 2 towns, if you can believe that. And these people go in there to preserve property and for future generations. They often target farms, and people that are land rich and money poor, and say, like say you're a small farmer out here, you can continue to farm, but we want to buy your development rights so there's no factories or anything like that, and we'll save the environment, save farms for the future generations. And then when your deed restrictions come across, because that's what this is, they buy the development rights through a deed restriction. And this gets registered at the Registry of Deeds, and those development rights are gone forever. And they actually, the first one that I had to deal with as a conservation agent in my town, the town wanted to sign off on this because the grant window is about to close. I refused to do it. I was the only no vote. It wound up going through. But I told him, I said, this is Business 101. You do not sign a contract, an agreement, when you don't know the conditions. And they did anyways. They pushed it through. And when that deed restriction finally came across my desk, I looked at that draft, and I almost went over backwards. They actually banned tractors from a farm. So this is not about preservation. It's not about saving farms. It's about taking property from private ownership and turning it over to the state. And you look what's happened out there. 80% of Nevada is federally controlled.
Oh, Dave, can I hold you right there, brother? We got to go to a break, but hold it right there, and when we come back, we'll get into this, and also bring up the event that you got coming up as well. But that's our guest here, Dave Copacz. We'll be right back on the Dan Bidondi Show on 990WBOB.com.
You're listening to 990WBOB.com, Renegade Radio.
All right, we're back on the Dan Bidondi Show. Your host, Dan Bidondi, and we got with us patriot activist. I mean, this guy is amazing. He's got his own talk show, Red Pill Politics, which, Dave, if you want to feel free to plug your show anytime. And you were leaving off about Nevada being basically confiscated by a government. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, they're marching through out there, and if they can put the hammer down on the Finicum family, that's going to set precedent. And what we saw out there was nothing less than murder. This rancher didn't die from, being mauled by a bull or falling into a silo. He was chased off his ranch and gunned down in the snow. And if that is allowed to stand, this country's going right into the shithole. We cannot stand by and let that happen. So
exactly.
I am going to do everything I can to keep the information out there. I'm going to be putting my own sheriff on those here in Massachusetts. That cannot happen. They're the highest law enforcement officer in the county, and they have the power to put these federal thugs right in one of their own damn cages. And they better start, or we're going to get some new sheriffs up here. That's for sure. Well, we're going to have them out again hopefully in June. I spoke with Mrs. Finicum before she left, and I told her I'm keeping a spot open for her, and she's going to see what she can do to get back out here. So if there's anyone in the area around June 17th, it is our 4th annual Flag Day Second Amendment rally. We always have some top-notch speakers. We had Larry Pratt's on the agenda again this year from Gun Owners of America. Stuart Rhodes from Oath Keepers is going to be coming out. I got a call from Joe Arpaio this morning. Looks like he might be coming. Trey Gowdy, he's another one I'm trying to get a hold of. And plus a lot of state national figures to know what's going on in the federal arena. And I also get some great activists from right inside the Commonwealth to speak at this event. We usually have 400 people come through. It's a great day, a lot of fun. And I guarantee you, everyone who goes will learn something. And hopefully they'll network, and when they leave, they will find something actionable to do. The day of sitting on our hands, watching life go by, and these federal thugs do whatever they will, those days are over. They're breaking the back of this country, and it's got to stop.
Oh, it has, and from the writers of our own founding fathers, if people think he sounds extreme, he's not, because our founding fathers stated on parchment paper, for those who have the power to do something, the ability is responsibility and duty to overthrow such gods if that's necessary. You know what I mean? And so that means we, the people, have the obligation to make sure our government does their job, and if they don't, our obligation is to overthrow them and put them behind bars.
Yeah, we've been apathetic for way too long. Tolerance, they've been preaching to us about tolerance, and it's come back to get us. We have tolerated way more than we should.
Exactly.
We're not a democracy, we're a republic. And when you look now, you cannot turn the TV on without seeing kids, these millennials. They're unskilled, unmotivated, self-aggrandized, and they feel entitled. Like they're unemployed because they really don't have the motivation or the ambition to even work a regular job. And they think the government's just going to keep handing them things. We can't afford the freebies. And they don't get it. And they're out in the street, they're burning their own cities. They're beating up and knocking unconscious old people in airports. And who's telling them to do it? Up here in Massachusetts, we got a senator that's telling them to do that. Now, in my understanding, is that that's inciting violence. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I do believe citizens arrest is still a very real thing. And I've said this before. Anyone who's in the middle of committing a felony or has committed a known felony can be arrested by a citizen, and you just got to bring them to the nearest law enforcement officer, and you can't use any more force than is necessary to subdue them. So I'm telling you right now, the next time Senator Warren or Hillary Clinton shows their face, these people are inciting violence. They're felons, political felons, and they shouldn't be tolerated. You know, and these snowflakes sitting there taunting the rest of the country, saying that they're going to bring civil war. Don't those panty waifs know what they're asking for? They're going to die in the streets because the Americans are getting pissed.
Oh, yeah.
And they just can't take anymore.
Absolutely. And you got that witch, Elizabeth Warren. I mean, who the hell does she think she is? I mean, like, but especially a public official. She should be arrested right now for inciting this violence, especially at the airport there. I've seen some of the videos. Police had to kick them out because they were starting to attack people that were, you know, if they, God forbid, they had a Trump shirt onto them. I mean, this is getting out of control. And these people, and you're right. And like I said earlier, these people are a bunch of pansy wimps. I mean, they'll attack somebody 15-on-1, but somebody against a real patriot that knows how to defend themselves, and they won't attack them because they're a bunch of cowards. But, you know, they got a fighting on their hands if they think that Elizabeth Warren and George Soros are going to lead the charge and take down this Republican. And regardless of what the mainstream media says, we know we're the majority. We know that. All polls will show that we are the majority. That's why we got Trump in as president, and that's why we're kicking ass. We're taking back this republic. It's like just like you're doing in Mass, we're doing here in Rhode Island. We're taking this republic back.
We have to. I mean, we're slipping down the slope, and we're a ways. We have slipped a long way from where we were, and if we don't turn the ship around now, that's going to be it. And from what I'm seeing, the intelligence that I've been able to gather and the research that I've done is that this is a very concerted, intentional effort by the extreme left. And I don't condemn all of the left. Every Democrat's not guilty here. You know, the classic liberals, the ones that are just run-of-the-mill Democrats, are thoroughly embarrassed by their own party and fearful. They are afraid to step up and say anything because they will be demonized and smeared and crushed by their own apparatus. With them, you go along to get along, or you do not exist. So, you know, I don't condemn them all, but I'm telling you right now, those millennials and those people that feel that government handouts are the way to go and that the republic can fall by the wayside while we usher in these illegals and refugees. You know, they created the refugees. You don't want refugees. Stop dropping bombs on their children. That's one way to stop the refugee problem.
Yeah.
Stop bombing their families. But, you know, if they're not coming here, they're not taking from my family, I'm not going to allow it.
And here's the whole thing, Dave. You know, if people should know history, 250 years ago, when we were impressed, okay, my ancestors were impressed, we didn't run to Canada or Mexico to seek refuge. No, we stood in the face of the biggest army in the entire planet, the world's strongest army, and we were 3% of us. We stood our ground, and we fought for what's ours. Well, so why can't these people in Syria, instead of flooding to other countries, mass together and take out the tyranny in your own country? Why go to another country? And I don't know why people can't do that, but you know, this PC world, just run. Here's one of those get out of jail free cards or whatever. Being PC all the time, the bully's out, so I have to go hide in my little safe space. You know, it's that kind of mentality that takes the spirit of liberty out of people.
Yeah, you know, we've got very complacent over time. We're an entertainment-based society. Our TVs are our worst enemy. The reason these kids and these old hippies are out in the street right now is two reasons. One, we got a government school system that's pumping them out year after year. In the media, I am so furious at the media. They got special protections under the First Amendment because their job was so important to bring real information in real time to the American people so we can make an educated decision. What they are doing now is they are playing with our heads. They're messing with our actual minds. And it's for an agenda, a political agenda. This is globalization. For those people that remember, going back in the 80s and 90s when globalization was a new term that was coined, and they wondered, what does that look like? What does that feel like? This is it. This is globalization. You're feeling the growing pains of the New World Order right now when you look out and see our cities burning and these untalented, unmotivated punks out in the street beating people up and burning the place. That is what globalization looks like. These are the growing pains of it. That needs to be rejected. Globalization, NAFTA, CAFTA, GATT, all that crap's got to go. We got to purge that right out of this country. I spoke Saturday. I said, a damn good use for that UN tower in New York City. I'll bet you I could fit those jamokis on a prison barge and get them the hell out and move in some homeless veterans. How about that? That'd be a good use for that UN tower.
Oh yeah, and I wish somebody would just destroy that damn statue they got with the gun tied into or not, because they're open calling for disarming the American people. That's a number one goal. If anybody wants to know that for truth, go to the UN's website. They blatantly state that they have to take the Second Amendment away, not restrict it, take it away completely. That's a number one goal.
Yeah, they will have a very difficult time if we remain an armed society. And what I'm happy to start seeing now is, like what happened in Connecticut a couple of years ago. They tried to take a lot of their guns, and about over 80% of the people told them to go screw.
Oh yeah, that was great. Over 10,000 people at the State House in Connecticut. I was there myself. About 80+% of them all had firearms, open carry. The police just stood there and they said, "We're not going to follow the governor's orders," because they knew it was unconstitutional. So thank God for some good state troopers in Connecticut.
Yeah, we got to keep that up. We cannot give up our guns, because the moment we do, if America gives up their weapons, it's over. They're going to come down on us like a ton of bricks, because there's nothing that's going to stop them. It's the only thing that'll stop a predator. I knew an old guy. I think he was from the Georgia area or somewhere down there. He was a sheriff for many years, and they had horrible, horrible crime within the city limits. They tried everything regulatory, and they passed every law you could imagine trying to stop the violence. And usually that meant trying to take more and more guns. And finally, one day they smartened up, or at least got backed into a corner where they had no alternatives, and they decided to try something very different. And they actually passed a local ordinance where you could be ticketed if you were caught within the city limits without a firearm. See, good people will adhere to the law. These good people, if they try to take your guns and you can't have a clip with 10 rounds in it, they'll turn it in, because that's what they were told to do. And if you tell them you're going to get a fine if you don't carry a gun when you go to the city, well, they're going to do what they feel is right and what the laws say, so good people will do it. And you know what happened? These freaking thugs, these predators, they would normally crawl through some old lady's window in the middle of the night. Stop doing that. They didn't know if they were going to get splattered against the wall. They didn't know if they went up and they rushed this guy into an alley to mug him, if he wasn't going to whip around and take his head off. And the crime went down. The savagery and the nastiness started to go down the moment the fear of people having a gun was there. And we should remember that. The Japanese didn't invade over here because there was a gun to hit every blade of grass. And there should be today.
Absolutely.
Every time Obama tried to crack down, what happened? The gun sales went up.
Record gun sales.
I hope that continues. We ain't got enough guns in this country yet. We got an ominous enemy out there after us. And I'm telling you, we need more.
That's why I say when people ask who's the world's strongest standing army, it's the American citizens.
Yeah. You know, that we got to fight them with everything we got.
Absolutely.
Whether it's civil disobedience regarding their gun laws, and we can never stop. I try to remain hopeful that we can right the ship, that we can get the bad apples out of office, and we just got to keep trying. And I am too. I've given up on this two-party system and that baloney. I am trying to revive the Constitution Party here in my state. I've got a great team of people here, and we are going to put the fear of God back into these cretins. We're getting rid of the bad apples.
Amen to that. And I'm going to have you back on, too, in a couple of weeks before the event because people, you need to get out to this event. If you live in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, it's not that far either. I mean, like, we need the numbers. I mean, because it just shows how many people, especially when you're there with fellow brothers that have the same like mind of liberty. They love liberty and everything else. But Dave, we're almost out of time. So give somebody something that, like your website, whatever, that they could get a hold of you and check out your events.
Yeah, well, you know, I keep pretty much everything I'm doing on my Facebook page. So look up Dave Copacz and check that out. The Red Pill Politics Show, we're doing that once a month. And I swear every guest I get on there, I'm going to talk about the things that the media doesn't talk about. And I'm going to put a DVD in every single community access station in this state. So Facebook is where you'll find my shows posted for Red Pill Politics. The event coming up on Flag Day, June 17th. That's going to be going up there, and we've got some real good speakers. Might even have Ted Nugent and Trey Gowdy out working on it. So definitely keep up. I could use all the help I could get, and if I can help others, I will. You know, I've traveled down to Rhode Island. I've been in all the 13 colonies, so I'm not above hopping in my truck and going out to help my brothers and sisters out there.
Been all over FEMA Region 1. Anyway, Dave, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. And so it's Dave Copacz, K-O-P-A-C-Z. We're going to post the links on the YouTube version of the show. The great activist, but get out to this event, folks. And what keeps America free, ask yourself, is every man with multiple firearms. Basically, what makes America free is men with firearms to protect themselves, their families, and feel the call of duty one day to protect their countries from enemies, foreign or domestic. And this is Dan Bidondi for the Second Amendment that shall not be infringed. And you know what? You come check our guns, you're going to have a serious problem, people. And that's a threat and a warning together. And this is Dan Bidondi for the Dan Bidondi Show. We're out of here. God bless.
The preceding program has been a production of 990WBOB.com. The views, opinions, and thoughts expressed do not represent those of 990 or its staff. Stay tuned to 990WBOB.com for more original programming and catch more Dan Bidondi weeknights 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget to check out the live video feed and head over to the show's page for more 990WBOB.com programming.
Defending liberty in the spirit of 1776. It's Dan Bidondi on TruthRadioShow.com.